The city slept, but for me, a night guard, the world was a labyrinth of echoing hallways and the low hum of machinery. My name's Frank, and I've been walking these floors for 15 years. You get to know a place, its sounds, its secrets. The click of the thermostat, the sigh of the elevator. It all becomes part of your own heartbeat. This building, a sleek, modern tech company headquarters, was my kingdom from dusk till dawn. My job was simple: keep it safe. Walk the routes, check the locks, make sure everything was just as it was left. It was a lonely job, but it was steady. Predictable. And I liked predictable. One Tuesday night, or maybe it was early Wednesday morning, around 2 a.m., I was on my third patrol. Everything was quiet, just the way I liked it. I was walking down the West Wing corridor on the fourth floor, the one that housed the R&D department. This was the high-security zone. Prototypes, confidential data, the company's crown jewels were all behind these doors. As I passed Suite 407, the main lab, something felt off. It wasn't a sound, it was a lack of one. The subtle, reassuring click of the magnetic lock wasn't there. I slowed down, my rubber-soled shoes squeaking softly on the polished linoleum. I reached for the handle. My heart gave a little thump. The door was supposed to be sealed tight, accessible only with a specific keycard even during the day. At night, it was on total lockdown. I pushed gently. The heavy door swung inward with a faint whisper, opening into the darkness of the lab. My flashlight beam cut through the black, dancing over workstations, expensive equipment, and whiteboards covered in complex formulas. A cold draft washed over me from the room. My first thought was, someone's still here. I called out, "Hello, security. Anyone in here?" Only silence answered. I scanned the room again. Empty. The protocol was clear. If I found a security breach, I had to immediately lock the door, report it to my supervisor, and log it in the system. It meant paperwork. It meant questions. It meant my predictable night would be thrown into chaos. My supervisor, a guy named Henderson, was a stickler for rules. He'd want to know why I didn't notice it on my earlier rounds. He'd probably review the camera footage. It would be a whole thing. And then another thought crept in, a lazy, tempting whisper. Just close it, Frank. Just shut the door and walk away. Maybe an engineer forgot. Maybe they just stepped out to the restroom. If I just closed it now, the magnetic lock would engage, and no one would ever know. I'd finish my shift, go home, and my quiet life would continue undisturbed. No hassle, no reports, no Henderson breathing down my neck. It was just one door. What could possibly happen? I stood there for what felt like an eternity, caught between duty and convenience. The cold air from the lab seemed to be pulling me in, while the warmth of the hallway promised an easy escape. I thought about the extra hour of paperwork, the interrogation, the potential black mark on my otherwise clean record for failing to secure a perimeter on schedule. All for a door that someone else left open. It wasn't my fault, was it? I'm just the guy who walks the halls. My job is to find problems, sure, but creating more work for myself. On a quiet Tuesday night. So, I made a choice. A small choice, but one that would unravel everything. I took a step back, pulled the heavy door shut, and this time I heard it. The solid, definitive thunk of the lock engaging. A sense of relief washed over me. Problem solved. Or so I thought. I turned my back on Suite 407 and continued my patrol, the rhythmic squeak of my shoes the only sound in the silent building. The rest of the night passed without incident. The sun came up, my shift ended, and I went home, the unlocked door already a fading memory. I woke up the next afternoon to my phone ringing off the hook. It was Henderson. His voice was frantic, a mix of panic and fury. "Frank, you need to get down here now." I didn't even have time to ask why. I threw on my uniform and drove back to the office, my stomach churning with a sense of dread. The moment I arrived, I knew something was terribly wrong. The parking lot was filled with police cars. Officers were swarming the entrance. Henderson met me at the door, his face pale. "They cleaned us out, Frank. They cleaned us out." He led me inside. The place was chaos. Detectives were dusting for prints, employees were huddled in corners, talking in hushed, anxious tones. We went up to the 4th floor. The door to Suite 407 was wide open, the frame splintered. Yellow police tape was stretched across the doorway. Inside, the lab was ransacked. Computers were gone, servers were ripped out, and the prototypes the company's future had vanished. They estimated the loss in the millions, not just in equipment, but in intellectual property. It was a catastrophe. The lead detective, a sharp-eyed woman named Miller, started asking questions. "When was your last patrol on this floor?" I told her, my voice barely a whisper. "Around 2 a.m. "Did you notice anything unusual? A door ajar? Any strange noises?" My heart hammered against my ribs. This was it. This was the moment. The lie was right there on the tip of my tongue. No, everything was secure. It was so easy. So simple. Who would know? The thieves had forced the door open later, right? My little oversight couldn't possibly be connected. But as I looked at the devastation, at the worried faces of the employees who could lose their jobs over this, the weight of my decision crashed down on me. My simple choice to avoid a bit of paperwork had created a massive security hole. The thieves didn't have to force their way in. They likely found the door I had found and locked. They could have slipped in, hidden, and then had all night to work, breaking out when they were done. My silence, my desire for an easy night, had handed them the keys to the kingdom. I took a deep breath. The lie dissolved. "Detective," I said, my voice shaking. "I need to tell you something. Around 2 a.m., I found this door. It was unlocked." The room went silent. Henderson stared at me, his expression shifting from panic to disbelief, then to pure anger. Detective Miller's gaze sharpened. "And what did you do, Frank?" she asked, her tone even. I closed it, I confessed. "I just closed it and walked away. I didn't report it." The fallout was immediate. I was suspended, of course, pending an investigation. The company's insurance wouldn't cover the full loss because of the security lapse. My 15 years of service meant nothing. I had failed at the one thing I was hired to do. The next few weeks were a blur of interviews, statements, and the crushing weight of my own guilt. I replayed that moment in the hallway 1,000 times. The two paths. The one I should have taken, and the one I chose. In the end, they caught the thieves. It was an inside job, a disgruntled engineer who knew the security protocols and left the door unlocked on purpose, hoping to create a window of opportunity. He had a partner waiting. My failure to report the breach was exactly the opening they needed. If I had just made the call, security would have been swarmed, cameras reviewed, and the whole plan would have been foiled before it even started. But I didn't. I chose the easy path. And in doing so, I not only failed my duty but also became an unwitting accomplice to the crime. I lost my job, my pension, and my self-respect. It's a heavy price to pay for avoiding a little bit of paperwork. I learned that responsibility isn't something you can just walk away from. It's not a choice between doing something and doing nothing. Choosing to do nothing is still a choice, and it has consequences. Sometimes, the heaviest burdens are the ones we refuse to pick up. Thanks for tuning in. Real stories like this are a powerful reminder of the choices we make every day. If you believe in the power of learning from our mistakes, follow Moral Compass 01 for more real stories with real lessons. Stay safe and take care.